There are two kinds of type in Photoshop. One is called point type and the other is called area type. First of all, let's show you where the type tool is. So if I zoom in, this is your type tool. If you click and hold on it, you have four: a horizontal type tool, a vertical type tool, a horizontal type mask tool, and a vertical type mask tool. We'll start by using the horizontal type tool. You'll notice that its shortcut is T. Point type is when you just point and click. And if I start typing, you'll notice that when we get to the edge of the document, that it will just keep going. Okay, so in point type, if you actually want to start a new line, you have to click and press return, a hard return. So that's point type. Now you'll notice that when I am over the type and I have clicked, you'll notice that it's created a new type layer for me. When I am over the type itself, I can click and drag and highlight just like I would in a word processor. However, if I move outside the type area, you'll notice that it turns into a four-way arrow, and that means that I can actually move the type to a new position on the page. Now, when you click on the type tool, you have various options in the options bar. So, for example, if I highlight text, I can change the text to another type of text. I can change its whether it's bold or condensed or what have you, depending on the font family that you're using. I can change its size. And you have the typical drop down right here, but what I like to do is if you hover right over the type icon in front, it turns into a scrubby slider. And I can increase the size by dragging to the right. I can decrease the size by dragging to the left. I can also choose the kind of anti-aliasing that goes with it. And that's how smooth it looks on the screen. I can choose whether I want it to be right justified, left justified, so forth. I can change the color of it by by clicking on this box and changing it to another color. I can also do some weird things, like I can warp the text, and there's some other things that we'll get into a little bit later on. If I'm good with it, I can just click the check mark here and it's good to go. Now on this type layer, if you double click on the little T icon, that will select your text. So now you can type in another set of text if you wish. All right. That's pretty much it for a quick introduction to point type. All right, so let's talk now about the other kind of type. The other kind of type is called area type. And the difference is that you define the box where the type will be before you start typing. And so if I come up in a corner and I click and drag, that is area type. And so now I can type. And I'll just speed things up here a little bit and do a copy and paste So you see that it stays within the box that you have defined. Now the nice thing about this is that you'll notice that you have 8 handle points around your area type box, and these handle points let you resize the box. If you resize it too small, you may lose some of your type, but it's all there. You can see that there's a little plus in this corner saying, well, you kind of overdid it, but and you've lost some type. So that's what the little plus in the corner means. You'll notice that again, as I move around the outside, I can reposition that box if I'd like. And again, we have all the same options as before in our point type, but that's the main difference between point and area type. Okay, there are just a few other options I want to go over quickly with you about the type tool. Up here in the options bar, first of all, this little icon here, if you click on it, changes your type from vertical type or horizontal type to vertical type, and clicking on it again will do that. If you just click once in the font box and start typing the kind of type that you want, as you hover over each of the fonts in Adobe CC, you get an on-document preview of what it's going to look like. The other thing that you can do, if you click once in here, you can use your arrow keys to move up and down the list of fonts as well. Same with the styles of a font. You can use your up and down arrow keys there to go through. If you click on the type layer here, you can assign a color by going to the color box. If it's highlighted, you can even use the swatches panel over here. And then instead of clicking the check mark like you normally would, if you do the same thing, if you hold down if you press the enter key on your 10 keypad, or if you are on a Mac laptop, if you hold your function key down and press return, then that's the same as checking the check mark there. So those are just a couple of other options I think that will make life easier for you as you're using the type tool. All right, we have played around with the horizontal type tool. Let's see what this vertical type tool will do. You'll notice that first thing, my cursor has changed orientation, and if I start typing, then things go that orientation. Again, we can change that by clicking on this text orientation icon, and then we can move that around. I'm going to click the check mark, and then if I have that layer highlighted, all I have to do is press delete to get rid of a type layer. Let's show you what these other type tools do. These are mask tools. Now, you were introduced to a mask a couple of lessons ago. You'll notice that when I click, it turns red, and when I click the check mark, instead of getting type, I get a selection in the area of my type. So one of the things that I can do, if I open, whoops, let me escape out of that. If I opened up another document here and I wanted to select all of it and copy it, and then I'm going to go into this document, and I'll go into the Edit menu, and instead of pasting it, I'm going to do a paste special and call it Paste Into. You see that my type has now become a mask, and my picture is what is being masked. Now you remember from a mask that anything that is black is hidden on this layer, and anything that is white allows this layer to show or reveals what's in this layer. I can get my Move tool, and with the picture selected with the little box around it, I can move that picture around inside my selected type. If I have that selected and I move, I'm moving the mask itself around. So that's just one other interesting thing. Of course, the vertical type mask tool does the same thing, but as vertical type, just the same as this vertical type did. So that's a quick introduction to all four of the tools. If you hold your Shift key down and press T, you see that you cycle through each of those tools. Let's give a couple other options for text in your Photoshop documents. First of all, spelling. You'll notice that here I've got a document with two text layers. If I double click on any of those T's in the text layers, that will select all the text in that particular layer. If you wish to only select one word, you can just double click on it. If you wish to select an entire line, you can triple click. Or if you want to do the entire thing, again, double click on the text layer itself. With a layer selected, you can check its spelling. And so in the Edit menu, you can come up and go Check Spelling, and it will act like a traditional spell checker and tell you when you're done checking it. You'll notice that it didn't check this other one though, so I have to be on that particular layer in order to check the spelling in that layer. And so I can just click Change and it will make that change. We've been talking about the text tool. I wanted to take just a minute and show you with a little bit more advanced piece just how it works. Here I've been working on a photo using the healing brush tools to remove the eyes and so forth. And now I want to put in Love is Blind. So I have a choice. I can either point and click and do point text, or I can drag a box approximately where I want the word love to be. And then the next thing I need to do is select a font. And I think I'll contrast a very bold serif or sans serif font with something a little bit more elegant. So as I go down here, I'm just looking for a bold well, let's use this one. And then I'll pick my color, so I can come in here. I want kind of a hushed red, and I'll start typing. Now I can highlight this text. I can make it bigger by doing the scrubby slider. If I want to change the text a little bit, what if I used that one instead, and I'll drag it down just a little bit. Let's try a bold italic. I like the bolder stuff. Let's do the boldest one. And then I'll I'll click on the check mark. So that's added a text layer called Love. And now I'd like to do another one that says Is. You'll notice this is in the same font, but let's grab something that's a little more elegant looking. How about this one? And again, I think I'll make this white, and I'll click my check mark. Then I can get my move tool and move it wherever I want. And then finally, I'll grab my text tool highlighted. This one's just point text, so grab my move tool again and so here we have our blind text layer. Notice that we have opacity for it, so it has a scrubby slider too. I can bring the opacity down a little bit. But basically, I think you get the idea where text is very, you can put it just right where you want, very flexible. And so in a later video, I'm going to show you how to use the character and the paragraph panels to even give you more flexibility.